Okay, so hopefully you've learned enough to get you started with remote teaching. So I have some tips that I want to share with you to end the workshop. And my first tip is to collaborate. So make sure that you're working together with your team. You can each take a day, or you can each take a different lesson component and put it together that way so that you really save time creating. My second tip is to plan first, then create. So don't just open a new Google Slides and start putting things on there. Just make a plan. It will save you time in the end because you're not going to be doing too much stuff if you have a plan to start with. My third tip is to just get it done. Don't make it pretty. So don't spend too much time with your fonts and your colors and your clip art and all of that. It's just best to just get it done. Otherwise, you're going to feel too overwhelmed to keep going with it. So my fourth tip is to be realistic with your expectations and just know this is new for everybody. Parents don't have experience with this probably. Students don't. You probably don't. You're going to have to give yourself grace and your students grace, as this is a learning curve for all of us. We were not given a lot of training. We weren't given a lot of time in order to get things together and get things going. This was all just sprung on us in an instant, basically. I literally in one day thought there is no way my school district is closing, and then it is closed. And within 24 hours, the entire state schools are closing down. So this is something that you're going to have to just do your best on. So that is my tip number 4, is to have realistic expectations. Tip number 5 goes along with that, and it's basically do what you can do and don't do what you can't do. So some of the things I showed you today, maybe they're not practical or realistic for you. So don't do those things. Do the things that you can and don't do the things that you can't. And don't worry about all of those things that you want to do but can't do. Just do your best. Okay, so tip number 6 is to remember that all of this is short term. This is something that you may be doing for the next 2 or 3 weeks. It may run into a little bit longer than that. We're not really sure at this point, but this isn't something that's going to be forever. So just remember that when you're trying to implement all of these new things. So that goes along with tip number 7, and that is that this strategy is useful for face-to-face teaching as well. All of the things that I showed you today are things that I've learned over the last few years of trial and error with my own students in my own class. We used digital learning paths to differentiate the instruction for the entire classroom. Everybody was working on a different learning path at once. So it does work and it can be done. So keep that in mind as you are working. You can take these same lessons and use them next year with the students when you're teaching face-to-face. So everything you're doing today is an investment in your teaching arsenal. It's not something that is going to be a waste after the next couple of months pass by and all of this blows over. So my last thing is to remind you to go ahead and sign up for my email list. I'm going to be creating starter files and things that you can use with your digital learning paths. I did put this workshop together in a very, very short amount of time, so it's definitely not perfect, and I have more that I want to add and teach as I go. So if you go to the website bit.ly/remote-learning20, you can sign up for this email list, and then all of the updates that I have and the extra stuff will be delivered straight to your inbox. So don't forget to do that. So it has definitely been my joy to try and help you to overcome some of the stress that you're having right now. And I do want to be available to answer any questions that you might have. My email is cassienoack@gmail.com. Feel free to email me with any questions. All right, good luck.